Hi, everyone. This is Jan Guarino, and you're in Fearless Watercolors. And we have a beautiful scene of, I'm calling it soft as spring because the colors are so soft. And it's sort of the things that we think about around this time of year. So as we turn our clocks ahead, we spring ahead and all of that good stuff. And so I just thought this was such a beautiful scene that I wanted to paint it with you and talk about color temperature and how we're going to carry the eye through the painting. So let me switch my camera and show you what we're going to paint. Okay, here it is here. So I just loved this beautiful photograph, but I also don't want to be an order taker. In other words, I want to interpret this. So one thing I did was I cropped it, right? We did add a little bit of masking fluid. Now I want to go in and show you closely how I added the masking. Oh, no, I did that wrong. Hold on. Sorry about that. Hold on. Let me change this camera and fix it. Hold on. So if you don't have the colors that I have, see, they're very pixely, the way that I added it. They're not, they were added on with, if you don't know how I go about it, I add my masking fluid using these gum picks, and you don't ruin your brushes that way, and you just toss it out when you're done. So they really work out so great. I love those. So that's just a little close-up of how I put it on and how I went about adding the masking fluid, because I thought it would be really nice. But we're going to save whites with the masking fluid, and we're also going to save whites in big shapes. That's we're going to do both.
Jan,
so this is, yes, Helen.
Do you have a favorite masking fluid?
Yes, I do, Helen, and I will show it to you. And thank you for asking. I like my PBO. I like it because it's a light gray blue. It's not that bright orange, which some of them are, and I don't really get why you'd want to see bright orange on your painting before you even start to paint. It's a little disturbing to me. So thank you for asking. It's called PBO, P-E-B-E-O. And I don't like the pens, by the way. I prefer just getting this bottle, and I will pour it into one of these little trays that I got at the dollar store. And this way, when I'm done, whatever's left, I could pour back in and not waste it and not leave this open. And if you're using masking fluid, you also need to have a rubber cement pickup, because this is simply put liquid rubber cement. And this is how we lift it off of our painting, is with this gizmo. If you don't have this gizmo, don't worry, you can also lift it with saran wrap, cling wrap. So let's talk about these colors. And if I look close, I do see these beautiful warms and cool tones in here. Now, if you don't have these colors, don't fret, because really any of these colors you can make with your white, okay? It's really not a problem. But I really do love my Holbein Lavender and my Holbein Jaune Brilliant, #1. They're two really perfect colors, I think, for this painting. If you don't have them, guess what? You can mix them. If you have white, you can mix white with any of your colors and achieve these colors. So in the case of our lavender color or lilac, there's a beautiful color lilac also. I'll put it a little closer so you could see some of my opaque colors over here. This is my lavender, and this is my lilac, and this is my Holbein. So you can see how yellow it is compared to my white. But if you have your white, right, you can add a little yellow to it and you'll get a nice opaque yellow. The same thing with this lavender. If you add a little bit of cobalt to your white to your cobalt, you can mix and get some of these colors. So if you don't have the colors, I do recommend them. I like some of these opaque colors. I think they're really fun to work with. So so I want to just play with the colors a little bit with you. Let's spray our paints with a little bit of our spray water and gum Arabic. I just spray them all because I don't really know what I'm going to be going for down the road. And what I want to think about is how our eye is going through this painting. I'm just going to move this because I don't want this sticking to this. Oh, and today I'm using the bow hung. Let me back out of this. Sorry. I'm using my bow hung paper. So this is, I've used it before. I really like it. So I feel really okay working on it. It's not as rough. It's a cold press. It's not as rough as I find our Arches 140 is. And, but the grain is a little finer than even the Saunders Waterford. So each paper, and Andre helped me with this a lot in terms of all the experiments that she does. She used to work at Crayola, right, Andre? And she does a lot of testing. So I really value that and admire that. So here's our photograph, and here's just a scrap piece of paper. And what I just want to demo for you is maybe a little bit of how our darks, if this is the hat, right? I'm just going to draw this out really fast. And there's some shade here. Her face is here. It's in shade, right? Her back is here. And there's these shapes in here, you know, her knee, maybe her arm, and all of this. This shadow is going to be what's going to carry us through the hands. Here, there's a little bit of shade down here and some folds in there. Their hands are here. That's kind of in shadow. We have a little bit going on of shadow in the basket, right? And then we come over here, and then we have the little girl, the hat. And so we're going to have this carry through. Here's her face. And the shadow here. So this shadow is going to weave its way through into her back. So almost this becomes an abstract shape. And it looks like the light is coming from the back here. Know the direction of your light. So this is going to go all white over here. We know we could save that. And the shadow is going to go long over here. So all of this, the basket will carry a shadow, and the little girl in her foot will have a little shadow. So light coming in, darks carrying us through the basket, the hands to her back over here. So it gives us a sense of shapes. And that's really, honestly, we could do this entire painting upside down. We're not, but some of it we're going to do upside down because I just want to take you through the idea of if you paint shapes, especially when you get into the folds, you'll get lost a lot of times if you aren't familiar with how to find the shapes when looking upright. But once we turn this upside down, really, now you can almost see that stream of dark and the stream of light, right? The stream of light and the stream of dark. So you could almost see it a little clearer because you're sort of disorientating your eye and your head and your mind and your knowledge of what you're painting a little bit. Okay, let me get another piece of paper here. I just want to go through color. I'll work on this with the I know I have some color on there. But if we were to take our Jaune Brilliant, and again, if you don't have this color, don't worry. You could take your white and mix it with a little bit of yellow or a little bit of orange and very little bit of orange and sort of create the same color right there. How much white and how much yellow. And there it is. I made it in 5 seconds. So whether you have the color or whether you don't, it really doesn't matter. So if we were to just sort of carry our Jaune Brilliant a little bit through, And I'm just going to take my mixture just to show you. It doesn't matter that you don't have this color. Through her hand, it's going to be in the flowers a little bit. And then it'll be along the hat here. Into the face, into her knee is probably here. So we're breaking it down into some really nice basic shapes. Now, the lavender, and that's just really oversimplifying what we're going to be doing. Here's my lavender here. I'm going to take my, I think I'll take my cobalt violet. If I add a little bit of white to that. Oh yeah, there it is. Yep. Probably any bluish violet. And there it is right there. So again, if you don't have the tube, that is absolutely no excuse for not having, being able to do this. And again, I'm just sort of quickly kind of going through. Of course, we're going to go a lot slower and probably add a little bit of blue into that, I was going to say, you know, so it's not just one color, you know, giving it an ability to kind of, again, bridge the palette. Everything isn't just one color. It's many colors. Okay. So this is going to just carry us through. And of course, this will be this beautiful shadow under here as well. And we could dramatize that. We could actually, if we wanted to make the sun kind of come higher, dramatically speaking, we could add deeper, longer shadows here. That'd be great. And all of a sudden, we've now shifted away from the precision of the photograph, and we've moved into something, another arena, another area here of giving us a chance to shift our thinking.
Jan, can I ask
Yeah, Andre.
why are you choosing to use opaque colors instead of transparent colors?
Well, they do have a transparency to them. I just felt that it would add a softness.
Okay.
That's really it. It's just, I thought that the softness is, to me, this painting kind of just screamed that. And of course, by mixing a little bit of transparency colors with white, it does have opacity, but you still have the primary basis of a transparent color. So I just think that it just kind of made sense to go in that direction. I don't know. It's a lot of this is just my own intuition, to tell you the truth. But I just felt it was the softness of that really made sense to try it that way. No reason except that.
Great, thank you.
And Jan, it's Nancy. Just a quick question. That Jaune Brilliant color, I have that, but I have a number 2. What is the number 1 like? Is there a big difference?
Big difference.
Yes, okay.
Number 1 is a lot lighter. Number 2 is pretty bright, isn't it?
Yeah, like almost a salmon color.
Yeah. So the 1 is much, it's very soft. It really is just a real soft, but again, I achieved it very quickly by white. And so if you added white to number 2, you'll probably get number 1.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
That did not come out right, but I know you guys.
And Jan, this is Helen.
Yes, Helen.
So I understand the lavender for the shadow. I don't understand the Jaune Brilliant. Is that for the skin tone?
Yeah, it will be. It's going to be in the hat, right? So the hat has both. And if I look close, Helen, I see this like transition into from the sun to the area of the folds that are deeper inside. So I see that opportunity. And I'm going to go back to that painting that I showed you before. See if I could find it. Hold on one second. Let me close out of that. The painting that I showed you before that really added that beautiful light to it. I'm not going to be able to call it up quick enough, but I thought that the Jaune Brilliant mixed with in here will give us a great color for the hat, a great color for the basket, and also integrating it into the folds of her dress and a transition from your white to your shadow would make a nice transition. So that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. All right. Transition. I get it.
Yeah. And integration also. It's also going to be,
A grayish color that you're coming out with? I can't really see it good.
so yeah, a lot of that's just going to be, it's really, it's more of a bluish purple.
Okay,
The lavender is here, right here. Right?
okay.
But I even think a little bit of this lilac would really brighten it up nicely, and it will go into the painting really nicely. I just popped a little bit. I just felt that these were, I try to kind of give you guys a lot of opportunities to learn different ways to think of a painting. And this is just another way. It really is. Of course, there's that beautiful background that I want to talk about. We have the green in here. Now, a lot of you, I think, should have that leaf green, which is a beautiful spring green. It's a little bright, but guess what? You can grab any of your colors, even your, this has got a little dirty here, but you could add really any of your colors and mix it out and carry it around to a lot of water. So that is my undersea green. And I think that will go really nice too. So I think our colors are going to be our lavender, which is also known as a cobalt violet with white.
Excuse me, when you say white, are you talking about the gouache? Gouache.
White. Oh, let me show you. It is, I use, yes, it is a design. The one that I use is Winsor Newton.
Yes.
And it's a white designer's gouache.
Oh, it's okay. I have gouache, but not.
Okay, that should work.
Okay.
And again, you could take your yellow and just fade it out with a lot of water. It's really optional, you really can. If you have any yellow, you could be using that and just carrying that out, and that would just be a little cooler, a little bit more vibrant. So our Jaune Brilliant number 1 or yellow and white.
A particular kind of yellow?
I would use maybe you could the Jaune Brilliant probably. Do you have the Queen Gold Deep?
I have Jaune Brilliant too.
Okay, so if you take the one, do you have white?
I have Chinese white.
That should do it.
Okay.
And again, these are just suggestions. You really don't have to use these colors at all, but these are, I think it would make a nice painting. And so we have our green, which will be undersea, and maybe a little bit of the leaf green. That's a beautiful spring green. The lavender and Jaune Brilliant. That's not going to be all of it because we do have to get some flesh tones in there. Let's talk about our flesh tones. I'm hard pressed not to go for my perfect skin tone of dragon's blood.
Oh,
If you don't have dragon's blood, use you can use a little bit of, this isn't exactly what I'm going to be doing, but it's close to. And I think it's going to be a good color also to carry through for the basket. Probably a little bit of both. Also, you could probably mix raw sienna with a little bit of white too. That's another way that you could get another one of these colors for the hat and the warmth kind of going through the painting. It's just a little roadmap. I'm really not going to spend that much time on it. I just wanted to kind of give you a sense of what my thinking was for this painting. There's no right or wrong. This is just me showing you how I think I want to handle the painting. That's all it is. And I do think about these things. So everybody good? Everybody do a little warm up, kind of feel where you're going with it, why we're doing it the way we're doing it, the colors you're going to use. Okay, I'm just going to go over here and look at all your little heads nodding, please. So if you're good, nod your heads and give me a thumbs up. Show me that you're there and that you get it. Okay, good. All right. Susan, it looks like you're going to be watching us today. Oh, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Mm. I'm so sorry. I can't hear you, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go start to paint. Okay, let's go. Now, the easiest thing to do right now is to sort of suggest this some of the background. So if you're going to do that, a good way to do a big area is with your larger mop brush. You could take a little bit of, I'm going to grab a little bit of my undersea. I'm going to grab a little bit of my green, leaf green, and I'm going to get rid of this little hair that's popping out on there. And I'm going to go around. So this is a great way to save your whites. We're not going to, we mask them. That's one way, certainly. Okay, notice my brush up and down, up and down. When it comes against the white area, I'm going to be careful about that, how I preserve that. However, the rest of it is kind of fun. She's got this bow on the back. It's got something going on here. I'm not sure exactly what. I don't have to know. And if you end it that way, like it's just a soft ending, right? I'm not really painting to the edges, so to speak. I'm sort of making it like a vignette. Again, my two greens, but I'm thinking early on of what bridging the palette. So while this is wet, this is a perfect time to think about doing that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to grab a smaller brush, and I think I'm just going to drop in a little bit of my lavender in no particular places at all, except to be there. Think of those rocks. And maybe a little bit of my Jaune Brilliant. I don't know. I'm just going to drop it in, see what happens. It's there, and I know that it's there. And when you mix on the paper versus on your palette, it gives you an opportunity to see the color. You're just giving it a little bit more depth than just one color. This will come under here. I think we'll build those nice big shadows. I think that'll be nice. Okay, going to switch back to my larger brush. Going to go back to my greens. This is a good way too that your photograph, your painting, your people don't look cut out from the rest of the painting, right? So what we're going to do here, I just want to carve out her hat a little bit. I want to be a little cautious about that. If you do your background kind of in this brushy way, it suggests it, and it also, you're not getting a sense of overworking it, right? There's a sense of something going on. You don't have to be descriptive of every single little thing going on. So there's some more, maybe I'll add a little bit more of my lavender on one side than the other side. Pop a little, splatter a little Jaune Brilliant in there. Why? I don't know why, because I felt like it. Just splattered everything, including me. They do that all the time. I need a splatter-proof desk area. Get your little blossoms going on. Okay. Smaller brush helps me get into the smaller areas. Nicely. And there's still, while they are more opaque, these colors, yes, to Andre's point, that is true. And yet there's still a beautiful transparency. It's not so opaque that it's like an oil or acrylic. This is still beautiful, transparent watercolors. When you come up, I'm going to go closer here. When you come up around her face, I'm going to go in really carefully because I want to preserve her nose and her mouth. And the white that's on her arm here, that's really pretty critical. And there's sort of this green here, so you can just bring that in a little bit, right? Kind of through their fingers and, even like into just so that things are not carved out from other things, right? And there's a real softness to what happened around the background. It's still wet, so if you drop colors in, something's going to happen. It's going to move. And I think what I'll do is I want the shadow to show up here a little bit more on her. So I know you guys have heard me say it before, but I'm going to do this right now. This color doesn't have to end here because her back is going to be darker. It's going to be that darker blue. So just so that I don't have this cutout feel, I'm going to invite some of this color into.
Jen, can you bring it up a little bit?
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry. I see where I am. I apologize. Thank you for pointing that out. There you go. It's always that balance of being too far away and too close. So I'm just inviting some of this color so it's not carved out. Her hair is dark, so I can invite that color in ever so slightly so that they don't look like they're cutouts on the paper. So that's a little bit of my lavender in her dress. And she's going to go darker, and the shadows are going to go darker. So it's a good painterly way to think. This is still really wet, so it's still just really moving. I feathered out down here because I really want the folds of her dress and then the shadow to appear. So I'm thinking of those things now. I did not put that little pocketbook there. I just thought it was just not really going to add to the painting too much. So I didn't put it in. So this is, this is creative license. This is editing out what works. And particularly when you're painting plein air, you've got to edit out. You really do. You have to edit things out. And you have to just paint what you feel is important, what you want to say with your painting. This is all in shadow. Fun time to add a little bit of our green in here. And our other colors. Why not? It's kind of good to get rid of a lot of your, a lot of whites. I find that it's really helpful to eliminate your whites early on. And just dropping in a little bit of my lavender and a little bit of the lilac in here, just to, again, it's soft. So, these are just some of the beautiful things that will never happen with any other medium. So I like to take advantage of all of that stuff. And because we masked here a little bit, this is going to be a perfect opportunity for the whites to pop up. And yeah, well, that white there is going to be great. I'm just checking myself. I know that all this is going to be going pretty blue down here. And, you know, I apologize. I know sometimes if you knew what colors I was going to be using, you would get those colors. I want to teach you to use the colors that you have, not necessarily the ones that I'm using. Well, it's fun to have the colors that I'm using. Do you need them? Not really, because I just showed you how to go about getting those colors other ways. But the truth is that you could be using entirely different colors. But if you think this way, you're going to be able to really look at a painting and find a way to use what you have in your palette on the paper, right? I probably could have brought some of this in here, but we'll get around that. We'll be able to, where I could breach an area that goes into from the background into another area that maybe you might have thought of to save. That's also a good thing to think about. Places that you let one color move into another, even though you know it's going to be a shift. I also thought these colors because they just seem so springy to me. They just felt like spring colors. And so that's another reason why I chose these softer colors. So I'm just going to let you guys catch up a little bit, and then we're going to go into, I think we'll start with the hat, getting a glaze down on that, and then adding some nice colors into the shadows. I think those will be good places to go. Maybe get a little bit in their faces a little bit. Oh, shoot, I wasn't recording all that time. Oh, darn.
Okay.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, that stinks. All right. Sorry. I did not realize I was not recording this whole time. I apologize. So what I'm going to do is just go back and explain what I did. I went into these areas with my Jaune Brilliant and my lavender, and I created these areas here that have all of the folds going on, just to give it a sense of both colors being present and not having it be just one color. We're bridging the palette there and creating these beautiful shadows. I really apologize for not doing that. I'll be doing it again over here. So I usually catch myself if I didn't record, so I apologize. That's going to be a drag, sorry. I did lift my masking on the hat. I liked seeing a little bit of a pattern I've created there. I did add a bit of a shadow to her face, along with all of the skin tones that we added. Those will be dry. We'll be able to build those sooner than later. I don't know. Help me remind me what I said. I go into a state here when I'm painting and I don't remember everything. I'd really love for each of you to just take a moment and put your paintings vertical and stand away from them for a second, just so that you could see what it is, how things are coming out. It's such an important part of this process, is seeing it from a distance vertical and just giving your eye a break from being so close to it. Unless we're working on an easel, which, I traditionally don't work on an easel with my watercolors. I like to control the flow of water. And it looks different, right? It gives it a different kind of an appearance. It's not quite as, I'm not really separating all of these things quite yet, because I could go back in. There's a really nice little dark spot there and another little dark spot there. I want it to dry. I can't recall everything that I just did in that last pass. Where you want a subtle little shift, like just that little shift of her arm, the back of her arms, use the Jaune Brilliant. Where you want it more deeper, richer, darker, go ahead and add your lavender. All right, I'm going to go in and work on the shadows on the little girl. I just want the skin tones to dry. Don't want to touch them just yet. I want to go in and do more in here. So I just don't want to do it all at the same time. One thing I want to get is sort of the colors of her hair a little sooner than later. And I think a good way to do this, rather than running for my brown, is going to be, remember we said before we would mix like a cobalt bluish violet with our white. Well, if I take that same color and I mix a little bit of that with my burnt sienna, raw umber, I get a brown color. So that's a nice way to think about making a brown as opposed to running for your brown. So that's what I'm going to do for her hair. I am not going to paint her hair. I'm just painting the illusion of hair. I mixed it a little bit in my palette, but now I am adding more colors right on the paper. And I did give it a little bit of a ripply feel, because that's kind of the hat. It's got that little bit of a edging to it. Okay, I'm going to repeat what I did on the woman, what I did, and now I'm going to do it on the young girl. So I am going back and forth between my two colors, the Jaune Brilliant, which is sort of that transitional highlight color. And the more water you add, the more transparent it does become, no doubt about it. They're hardly acrylics. But sometimes when I'm working with colors, it's just intuition. And I really hope to have you guys feel that intuition as you paint thinking what colors am I going to start with, and making other colors from those colors and not going for every color in your palette. I think that that really does make a beautiful interpretive painting. I think that's a good reason to have all the colors, is just so I could run for them when I need them and when I want them. And there they are. So it's not really one block that I'm adding here. I'm sort of stippling my way through it. Maybe adding a little bit more color as I come down into the darker side here, but I just dropped a little bit of Dijon Brilliant just intuitively. I didn't want to just have it be one color. Just added a tiny bit of the lilac. Again, I just have it in little spots, not a lot. These little breaks will help determine all of the different folds that are going on in her dress. And even if it's wet, drop a little bit more in and let it spread out, just charging it up with a little bit and letting it move softly into those other areas. It'll give it a bit of a shift of movement to it as soon as you do that. As I come further into the light, I switch to the Jaune Brilliant. How's everybody doing? Hopefully good. We're really getting through it, which is really good. So this area is wet. I can go in and charge up certain folds just to make them stand out a little bit more and help them not just be one solid straight color. And of course, when this is dry, there are so many places we could go in and add more details. Now, while you guys are painting, I'm going to lift my masking over here from this hat. I just want to see what it looks like. If there's enough of a pattern or if I need to create more of a pattern. This is something, if you're not up to where I am, that's okay. Just know, and I did create sort of that little straw feel when I added the masking, and that may be all I need or all I want. We'll see. I don't have to make that decision just yet, but lifting it, I could feel the sun kind of hitting it. And that's why it was so important. I showed you how I added the masking fluid. I wanted you to see that because I felt that was it really could be added or it could be saved. And in this case, it was saved nicely. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with both of them. I think maybe it might be nice to go in and just maybe add some I'll just show you guys, just some little patterns in here. I think it could be a lot of fun to do it. That's going to be up to each of you if that's something you wish to, kind of bring about. Where it's bumpy, I don't want to touch. I'm just going to play for a second here. I'm thinking it'd be fun to do these shadows with all of our colors. So I'm just going to play with that for a second with this shadow right here on the basket. And sort of have it meet up here. I just want to get it on the recording so that I'm able to demo it for you guys. So this is, I start my shadow. I'm just going to show you guys. Do this when you can, because I'm going to go in and do the faces and I want you to catch up. So that is the violet that I said we could make the, if you don't have the lavender, right? A little bit of my raw sienna. So I'm just creating a shadow. And I'm going to add some of my undersea green. So I'm just bridging the palette with my colors. But I did not go to my opaque colors. I went to the colors that we said we could make using white. So I added my violet. My raw sienna. And my undersea. And it made a really nice shadow. You could see why I'm calling this the colors of a shadow, because it just really is all these beautiful colors. And I did not run for any other color to do that. So that's how we're going to do our shadows. I just wanted to test it out and see how it worked on my painting and give you guys kind of a little bit of a preview. Okay, I'm going to go in and work on that face a little bit. Again, it's my job to get it on the recording so that you have it. If you're not there, stay where you are or just stop and watch. Either way, I just have to make sure I finish the recording for you guys, even though I missed a big part of it, and I apologize for that. I normally don't do that. Just giving her lips. That shadow around her nose. This is just a little bit more of my dragon's blood. Let's see how that looks. Now, sometimes going in and adding more and more and more is not the answer. And sometimes it is. It's one of the conundrums of watercolors. And stepping back to see if you need more, if you did too much, if you want to soften something, or if it just has to be built. And I think that this is just one of those areas that I'm just going to wait and I'm just going to build it. That's enough for now. Maybe a little bit more to her lip. Let's see. Yeah. I'm going to go in and do the little girl. You see, this kind of bled out over here. So I'm just going to feather that out. And then I'll go back in and add a little bit more to her lip. It's good that you guys kind of see me in a spot that you might find yourself in and how I handle it. This is just a little bit more dragon's blood. When it's not quite where you want it to be, just wait. Wait for it to dry and go back in and build a little bit more. I want to show you how to get some of these hands and fingers and whatnot. So we added that first wash, which was really, really good. Again, don't worry if you're not where I am. I just need to be sure that I show you guys all of these different areas and that the class doesn't come out to be 5 hours. I get that I work fast. I get that, most people don't work as fast as me. That's okay. It's really fine. Be where you are. I think I'm going to do something I normally don't do. And I think I'm going to go in and add a little bit of burnt sienna to the shadows in their hands. The dragon's blood is coming out a little bit orangier than I would like. So I'm just going to shift it a little bit to be a little bit cooler. And the burnt sienna will be a little bit cooler. I normally don't do that, but I don't want to have them be like they got burnt. And that's just a good way to go. And you could start seeing by painting the shadows shapes, you could start seeing the fingers and the hands start to appear. You really don't have to paint fingers. You just have to paint the shadows that the fingers are creating, the lights and the darks. That's what you're painting. Maybe a little burnt sienna with a little bit of dragon's blood. I can't stay away from the dragon's blood. I just can't. It needs a color. It just needs it. I'm used to it. And again, the big wells that we have in our palettes really do help us to achieve that mixing nicely. Remember, just stand back from your work. If you're lost, if you're not sure, stand back. Just put it vertical and give it a little bit of distance, put you a little bit of a distance from it. And remember, it doesn't have to happen in the first pass. Give it a chance to like dry and then go back in and see if it needs more of what you want to give it. There's a brush I hardly ever use, but I think I have to use a tiny little brush to go in and get her lips. Somehow those lips got a little too big. I think they are on the photograph, but they don't quite look right on the painting. We'll see if we could add a little bit more detail to the rest of her face to help it along. Okay. The shadow looks darker on the screen than it really is. It just granulated and did beautiful things. I'm happy with that. This is still bumpy, so it's not the time to work on that at all. So I'm going to go into the basket weave. I think I'm going to go in with my rigor on this one.
What color paint did you use for the shadow on the basket?
I used all three colors. I used my raw sienna, and I dropped in a little bit of the lavender. So it's really all the colors that we've been using.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I really didn't change my colors. And this is just where, like, maybe you want to go in, if you're not good with your brush work, you could go in with a watercolor pencil. Which I just happened to pick up at the Norton Museum. I don't know where they are right now. Oh, here they are. Wait, you got to see this packaging. This is so cool. 10 watercolor pencils. And look at how they're all so designy. I haven't used them yet. But this might be a nice place. And I'm sure we all have watercolor pencils that we could go in and use, right? For something detailed like this. I'm using my rigor. I don't mind them being a little bit interpretive. Let me go closer. Just sort of dotting my way through them, lines and dots. What I call Morse code.
Are you using the purple there?
A little bit of purple and a little bit of the burnt sienna. So I'm kind of just integrating some different colors in here. Not even making a good basket weave, to tell you the truth, but again, little areas like this really become great little places to use all your colors or multiple colors. Certainly go beyond what you see in the photograph. I'm sure we all could do a perfect basket weave. But that is so not my goal, is to do anything perfectly. I want to do it painterly. I want to do it artistically. I want to do it in a fearless Jan way. And that will be different for each of you, what that means. But if I back out, it certainly says basket. I mean, I've seen baskets done to perfection. And that's great if that's what you want. It certainly is nothing that I want. That little dark that I just added there, that was a combination of my cobalt violet and my undersea. Now I want to find other places to put that, like maybe in here, some little sprigs in here. Maybe a nice shadow right here on either side of that basket. Maybe a little trickle down here. That combination, again, it's the violet and a little bit of my undersea. I'm adding a nice dark areas. And I'm just kind of picking and choosing right now. I'm picking away a little bit at where some really nice darks might be. I don't know, just looking to have my eye kind of carried through. You could also use a little bit of your moon glow if you'd like. You know, any of those kinds of colors could do really nicely with creating a nice little dark like this. And if your area here got a little bit too, if it needs a little bit more oomph, go in and add a second layer of some of your colors. So instead of that mixture I did, we could certainly use a little bit of moon glow or shadow violet for these nice little under areas right in there. Those are great neutralizers, but they're not neutral tint. They're not Payne's gray. Just giving these a little bit of a shadow here. I want some darks just to kind of carry me through the painting. And then I want to, again, I'm going to lift this up here, this masking. I want to see how my little flowers that I saved over here are, and they're pretty good. Let me go closer. They're kind of cute little flowery things I saved. So I'm going to go into my green violet, maybe add some nice stems. This is really what this painting is about, them kind of picking these flowers and sharing them. In a really centered kind of way. This is really, this is kind of the heart of the painting. It's the connectivity. We could go in and do more on the hands. I'm not really going to, I could go back in and do more on the hands. I could show you that. They were just, it's sort of a layer cake. I need to take pieces of time to do that. As it dries, go in and do more, do more, do more. Back out and show you, see how that's starting to like that connection, right? That we talked about in the beginning. Building your values. Color gets the credit, contrast does the work. Oh, that bled a little bit more than I would have liked. Hold on, let me lift that up just slightly. Let that dry and go back in and do it again. I'm just looking for darks to kind of carry me through the painting and shapes. Darks, shadows, areas that I could connect. I want to lift this up and see what that looks like. Because now that I lifted it, I can add colors to it. I saved it. Everything's been pretty light so far on this painting, but I wanted to mask in a way that gave me an opportunity to have little sparky whites and add a little bit of color to them. See, because this went dark over here, it saved the whites there. That's what I wanted it to do. That's what I was hoping it was going to do, and it did. So when you lay your masking down, I do really want to challenge you. There's a definite process thinking to it. And the way that you learn that is by exactly what we're doing here, practicing and seeing what it looks like and seeing if it needs a correction from what you did. It may not. But that's how I've learned is, oh, I didn't like the way I put it down. And the thinking, oh, I could just fix it as I go along. You can, it absolutely can be corrected, but it's much more fun when you think about that you saved it and you really didn't have to do much work at all. Sort of gave you an opportunity to really paint with your masking fluid. That's the goal. At least that's what I think about masking fluid. That's what I want to think about is my goal is to paint with it. I am not happy with what I did here with that shadow. It didn't really, it's really not blending with the rest of it. And I don't even know if I need it. So if I were to take my flat angle brush, I'm going to see if I could just softly lift it out, which looks like I can. Just don't need it. I thought I wanted it. But a little bit of a shadow's there. I'm never going to get rid of it entirely. I don't think I will, but I'm just lifting it out. My flat angle brush really is a great brush to do that with. Probably I could take it to the sink and I could lift it out that way. I think it's important that you guys see that I don't always, I make mistakes, but, knowing how to correct them, knowing how to fix them, knowing what I want to do. I think if I were to take this to the sink, I would probably be okay with it. Yep. I'm not exactly at the sink, but I just lifted it with my spray bottle and I took it off and I'm much happier. Just don't need it. But I do think I need something over here. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Certainly we could add a little bit more detail to the shoes. But what do I want to do over here? Maybe I'll just carry a little bit more green over here. Let me play with that. I think it's important that you guys know that what's in my head is, sort of from my head to my paintbrush. Okay, just a little bit of green, maybe. When I do the backgrounds, I like to do these vertical and horizontal marks. In fact, I like using a bigger mark brush. Like this is a good brush to do that with. I don't use these often, but I do like these Da Vinci's for these big moppy areas. Now I kind of have this horizontal thing going through, diagonal movement going through the painting right there. This helps continue it. You want your viewer's eye to be engaged throughout the painting. I might lift this up. Just feels a little distracting to me. Again, I could take it to the sink. Remember I said I lost an edge there and I could get it back? Well, I could if I wanted to, maybe with my flat angled brush, just sort of lift a little bit there and get a little bit highlight back. Didn't really have to do it, but I think it works. That little bit of a highlight there. Wait, let me see reflection there, the water. Just lift it a little bit there. I don't know, sometimes you just have to give your painting what it needs. So a little on the corner here, a little bit of the jaune brilliant, a little bit of the lavender, and a little bit of my greens. That bled down. I actually don't mind that. When things bleed down, I kind of like, wait to see if I like it. And I think, aside from adding some more of these darks over here, which of course I can't do right now because it's wet, I do need to stand back from it and take a break. And that's a perfect time for me to see your work. And where you're at. I do not expect you to be done. But if you'd like me to help you in any way or see where you're at or give you suggestions on where to go next, it gives me a chance to sort of break up a little bit from my painting and see where everybody is at. But you see why I use these colors that I did. They're real soft and it just, now let me put the photograph back into the interpretive and yet painterly, and yet certainly we use this as inspiration. So sorry about that little bleep where I didn't record for a while. I apologize. I usually really try to keep very close tabs on that. But hope you enjoyed this Jan Guarino Fearless Watercolors. From what I saw of the work, it's extraordinary. And what you did in like 2 hours was really crazy great, and just needs a little bit more. One of the things that I talked about was like in the hats or any place really that you want to add masking, you could go back after you paint it, add masking again, preserve the color that's down, and then paint, and lift again. So another little technique. Hopefully you got something out of this. I hope you did. It's Jan Guarino, Phyllis Watercolors, and I'll see you again soon. Bye now.